Imagine staring at your bank account balance and watching those small numbers practically mock you from your phone screen. Maybe you're looking at $7,342, or perhaps it is just $216 on a good month. Either way, saving that first $1,000 feels about as realistic as climbing Mount Everest while wearing flip-flops. You have probably heard some financial guru claim that once you hit $10,000, the next $10,000 comes twice as fast. You are likely thinking that sounds like total nonsense while you stare at your latest credit card bill. However, there is something you need to understand that might change your entire perspective. That guru is not lying to you, and in fact, they are actually underselling how much easier the process becomes. The psychology and the mathematics behind why your first $1,000 is exponentially harder than your next $10,000 is not just some motivational speech. It is cold, hard science that the majority of people never take the time to learn. This lack of understanding is exactly why so many people remain broke for their entire lives. I spend an enormous amount of time analyzing why some individuals build wealth effortlessly while others work themselves to the bone and have nothing to show for it. If you're tired of feeling like you are running on a financial treadmill and getting absolutely nowhere, you are in the right place. We are about to dive deep into the psychological warfare happening inside your brain every single time you try to save $1. Before we get into the brutal mathematics that prove this point, I want you to think about something. When you imagine wealthy people, what do you see? Perhaps you see someone who never had to struggle or someone who was born with a special financial gene that you somehow missed out on. The truth might sting a little, but the difference between those who build wealth and those who do not has almost nothing to do with their income level. Instead, it has everything to do with understanding the invisible psychological forces that are constantly working against you. Your brain is literally wired to sabotage your financial success. Neuroscientists have studied this extensively and discovered a phenomenon called temporal discounting. This is just a sophisticated way of saying that your brain values immediate rewards much more than future benefits. Your brain sees spending $50 on a nice dinner tonight as incredibly appealing. Meanwhile, saving that same $50 for an abstract future version of yourself feels about as exciting as watching paint dry. The fascinating part is that the same mechanism making your first $1,000 feel impossible is what makes the next $10,000 feel effortless once you learn how to use it correctly. We are going to break down the exact mental barriers keeping you stuck and show you how to turn your brain from your biggest enemy into a powerful wealth-building tool. The first hurdle you are facing is what psychologists call the house money effect. Your brain treats money differently depending on its source. Money you earn from your regular 9-to-5 feels heavy, important, and very difficult to part with. But if you find $20 in an old pair of jeans or receive a tax refund, your brain categorizes it as play money. You are far more likely to blow that extra cash on something useless. This is why many people never get ahead despite earning a decent salary. They are playing mental accounting tricks that sabotage their own progress. Every dollar should be treated with the same respect regardless of where it came from. Then there are the money scripts buried deep in your subconscious mind. These are beliefs about wealth that were programmed into your head when you were just a child. Maybe you grew up hearing your parents argue about bills, so your brain now associates money with conflict and stress. Perhaps you heard the phrase, "we cannot afford that," so often that you genuinely believe you are not the type of person who gets to have nice things. These invisible scripts are making your financial decisions every single day without you even realizing it. Your brain has been evolutionarily programmed to keep you alive, not to make you rich. For thousands of years, humans survived by grabbing every immediate resource available because there was no guarantee of food tomorrow. Your brain is still running on this ancient software that prioritizes instant gratification. When you try to save money, you are fighting against millions of years of evolutionary programming. Your instincts are screaming at you to spend that money now on something tangible because your biology fears the future. This is why reaching that first $1,000 milestone feels like such a monumental battle. You are not just fighting your income level, you are fighting your own biology. But once you hit certain psychological thresholds, something magical begins to happen. Your brain stops seeing saving as a form of deprivation and starts seeing it as a massive achievement. The research on this is absolutely fascinating and centers around a concept called self-efficacy. When you have $0 saved, the idea of having $10,000 feels like a fairy tale. But once you hit your first 1,000, your brain finally has proof that you are a person who can save. This is the perfect moment to join our community at Billy Finance and subscribe as we help you navigate these mental shifts to reach your goals faster. People who successfully save their first $1,000 are exponentially more likely to reach their next milestone than those who have never saved a cent. It is as if your brain rewrites its entire story about what you are capable of achieving. This is where the mathematics start getting really interesting. That first 1,000 is almost entirely dependent on your behavior and your ability to spend less than you earn. But once you have that foundation, compound growth starts doing the heavy lifting for you. Let us look at the real numbers that will change how you think about every financial decision. Suppose you decide to save just $100 every single month. At that rate, it takes you exactly 10 months to save your first $1,000. That is 10 months of saying no to things you want and feeling like you are making zero progress. But if you keep saving that same $100 and earn a conservative 7% annual return, the pattern shifts. Your second $1,000 takes about 9 months instead of 10. Your third 1,000 takes only 8.5 months. By the time you're working on your 10,000, it is taking you less than 6 months to add each additional 1,000. Your money is now starting to work significantly harder than you are. Think about it while you are drifting off to sleep dealing with a difficult boss at your 9 to 5 or simply relaxing on the couch with your favorite show. Your investments are out there grinding away to generate more wealth. Once your portfolio hits the $10,000 mark, you will witness something truly transformative. At this stage, your money starts to shoulder a significant portion of the financial heavy lifting. With a 7% annual return, that $10,000 brings in roughly $700 every single year without you having to lift a finger. To put that into perspective, it is almost like receiving 2 months of your $100 monthly savings goal absolutely free. This is the moment your mindset begins to shift, and you stop looking at your account balance with dread. Instead, you feel a genuine sense of excitement as you watch those monthly gains grow and realize that the system actually works. The same mental triggers that once made saving feel like a chore are now making the process feel addictive. You might even start doing things that seem bizarre to your friends who are struggling financially. You will find yourself looking for every possible way to boost your monthly contributions. Tax refunds are no longer an excuse to buy something flashy. Instead, they become a golden opportunity to dump more cash into your investments and accelerate their growth. You stop viewing expensive dinners as a well-deserved treat and start seeing them as missed opportunities for your future self. Your brain has essentially rewired its logic. Instead of feeling deprived when you save, you feel like spending is what actually deprives you of your long-term wealth. This psychological flip is so powerful that many people describe it as a life-changing breakthrough. It feels like you have finally discovered a secret that the rest of the world is missing. The most beautiful part of this process is that, as your capital grows, you become less dependent on your own labor. Think back to when saving just $100 a month felt like an impossible mountain to climb. When you have $50,000 invested with a 7% return, that money generates $3,500 a year on its own. That is nearly 3 times your entire annual contribution happening automatically. At this point, you could technically stop putting in new money altogether and your wealth would still keep climbing. But for most people, the momentum is too exciting to stop. Watching your net worth rise becomes a thrill, and you find yourself saving even more aggressively than before. You realize that you are not just stacking paper, you are building a foundation for your personal freedom. The psychology becomes even deeper when you redefine what money actually represents. Most people think money exists to buy things, but the wealthy understand that money exists to buy choices. When you have zero savings, you have zero financial flexibility. You have to take whatever job is available rather than the one you truly want. You live in whatever area you can afford this month rather than where you would thrive. Your decisions are dictated by immediate survival rather than what is best for your future. However, once you have $10,000, $20,000, or $50,000 in the bank, your options suddenly expand. You can take risks that would be impossible for someone living paycheck to paycheck. You can walk away from a job that makes you miserable because you have a financial safety net. You can invest in your own education, launch a business, or jump on opportunities that require quick cash. This is exactly why successful investors say the first $100,000 is the hardest part of the journey. It is not just about the math of compound interest, although that is a big factor. It is about the total psychological transformation that occurs when you prove to yourself that you can build wealth. Your entire relationship with your finances fundamentally changes. Unfortunately, most people never reach this point because they throw in the towel during those difficult first 10 months. They look at a small savings balance and tell themselves that the effort is not paying off. They have no idea they are just months away from a psychological breakthrough that would alter their entire financial future. Those who persist through the early stages discover something that feels like magic, but it is really just math and psychology in perfect harmony. They realize that building wealth is not about making massive sacrifices forever. It is about making small, temporary adjustments until the growth takes over and starts doing the work for you. One thing people rarely discuss about compound interest is its power to change your behavior once you see it in action. Successful people do not just set and forget their savings. They become obsessed with making the system better. They look for ways to earn more income specifically so they can fuel their investment engine. They start paying close attention to management fees and taxes because they understand how those small percentages drain wealth over decades. Every financial choice becomes focused on future prosperity rather than current cravings. This change is so profound that it often leaks into every other area of their lives. They become more intentional with their time because they finally understand the link between time and money. They begin thinking long-term about everything, not just their bank accounts. Meanwhile, their peers are making the same poor financial choices they made 5 years ago and wondering why they are still stuck. They still buy lunch out every day because it is only $8. They keep financing cars they cannot afford because they can manage the monthly payment. They remain trapped in the cycle of living paycheck to paycheck despite getting raises because they never learned the difference between looking rich and being wealthy. It is frustrating to watch friends complain about money while doing nothing to change their habits. They will spend $40 on a night of drinks they will forget by tomorrow, then claim they cannot spare $20 a month for their future. They will buy a $1,000 phone on a payment plan and then argue that investing is too risky. The level of mental disconnect is truly startling. Consider this statistic. The average person spends more on coffee in a single year than they have in their entire emergency fund. People are often more committed to their morning caffeine fix than they are to their own financial security. Then they wonder why they feel constant anxiety about their bills. This is not about making you feel bad for enjoying a coffee. It is about recognizing that small daily choices compound just like investments, but often in the wrong direction. That $5 latte every morning adds up to $1,300 a year. That money vanishes forever, providing only a fleeting moment of satisfaction. If you took that same $1,300 and put it into an investment earning 7%, it would grow to $18,000 in 10 years. In 20 years, it would be worth over $53,000. That daily coffee habit literally costs you $53,000 in future wealth. When you see it that way, making coffee at home does not feel like a sacrifice at all. This is where standard financial advice usually falls short. Experts love to criticize spending habits without looking at the underlying psychology. They tell you to skip the lattes, but do not explain why your brain fights those changes or how to make the new habits stick. In reality, most spending is emotional, not logical. People buy lunch out because they are unhappy at work, and that short break is the highlight of their day. They buy unnecessary clothes for a quick dopamine hit in a dull routine. They spend money at bars because they are lonely, and it feels like the only way to be social. You cannot solve an emotional struggle with a simple math equation. Telling a person who is buying happiness to just stop spending is like telling a drowning person to just stop being wet. It ignores the actual problem. This is why saving those first several $1,000s is so difficult. You are not just shifting your budget, you are transforming your entire emotional relationship with money. You are training yourself to value long-term stability over instant gratification. You are breaking decades of conditioning that said spending money was the only way to feel better. People who succeed do not rely on willpower alone. They swap their spending habits for saving habits that offer the same emotional high. Instead of a rush from a new purchase, they get a rush from seeing their investment balance hit a new peak. Instead of feeling good about a fancy dinner, they feel proud about adding another $100 to their portfolio. This mental shift often happens quietly until one day you realize you would rather see a $200 gain in your account than spend $200 at the mall. That is the moment wealth building becomes a game you are winning rather than a burden you are carrying. And this is exactly when the numbers start to get truly incredible. Once you have $20,000 working for you, the momentum is undeniable. Imagine earning around $1,400 every year with a steady 7% return. That is actually more money than most people spend on their daily coffee, quick lunches, and random impulse buys put together. Your capital is literally starting to fund your lifestyle while it simultaneously keeps on growing. Once you have $50,000 invested, your annual returns will climb to roughly $3,500. That works out to nearly $300 every single month that you are earning while you are fast asleep. By this stage, your investments are generating more passive income than most people are able to save from their active paychecks. You have essentially created a part-time job for yourself that never calls in sick, never asks for a vacation, and stays busy 24 hours a day. So, there you have it. Your first $1,000 is not just the hardest part because of the raw math. It is incredibly difficult because you are literally fighting against your brain's ancient survival programming while building entirely new psychological pathways. However, once you break through that initial barrier, the forces of compound interest and compound psychology work together to make building wealth feel almost automatic. The choice belongs to you. You can keep coming up with excuses about why this will not work in your situation, or you can begin that brutal but brief battle against your own impulses. Your future millionaire self is waiting for you to take that first step. Make sure to subscribe to Billy Finance to keep your financial momentum going. Thank you for being here, and I look forward to seeing you in our next video. Please leave a comment below and let us know what your main financial goal is for this year.